Everyone wants to win. Everyone wants success. But very few are willing to do what it takes to outperform everyone else. Not because they aren't capable, but because they haven't learned the lessons that separate the unstoppable from the average. Desire is not a wish, not a passing thought, and not a vague hope for something better. It is a deep, consuming fire that takes hold of you and refuses to let go. To be unstoppable, desire must evolve from a casual want into a burning obsession. It must become the central focus of your daily life, the reason you get out of bed in the morning, and the thought that lingers in your mind when you close your eyes at night. It must be so strong that it drowns out excuses, silences doubt, and overpowers fear. When desire becomes an obsession, it fuels every action with intensity and purpose. It becomes the compass that guides your decisions, the anchor that holds you steady during storms, and the engine that drives your relentless pursuit of progress. Most people don't achieve what they want because they don't really want it badly enough. They think they do, but their desire is shallow. It's based on comfort, on comparison, or on convenience. They want the reward, but they're not obsessed with the process. They want success, but only if it doesn't cost too much. That kind of weak desire collapses under pressure. The first failure, the first challenge, the first sign of resistance, it's all it takes to send them back to safety. But when you are truly obsessed with your goal, quitting becomes unacceptable. You don't entertain alternatives. You don't need someone to push you or remind you why you started. You're already on fire. Burning desire doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't need perfect timing or ideal circumstances. It pushes you to act now, to learn quickly, to adapt constantly. You begin to search for solutions instead of reasons why something won't work. You become willing to fail, to be uncomfortable, and to look foolish if it means getting one step closer to what you're after. The obsession transforms fear into fuel and setbacks into strategy. Every moment becomes a chance to get better. Every obstacle becomes a test of how much you really want it. It's no longer about if you'll succeed. It's about how long it will take and how hard you're willing to go to get there. This level of desire changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying and start seeing yourself as someone who is becoming. You stop measuring yourself against others and begin competing with your potential. You start making different choices. Who you spend time with, what you read, how you spend your hours, because everything either feeds the fire or puts it out. A burning desire demands that you become more focused, more resilient, and more intentional. It turns your vision into something you live for, not just think about. And once you operate from that level of obsession, it's no longer a matter of whether or not you'll outperform others. It's only a matter of when. Discipline is the force that keeps you moving when motivation disappears. Motivation is emotional, temporary, and often unreliable. It shows up when things are exciting, when the path is easy, or when you're surrounded by inspiration. But real growth, real mastery, and real success happen in the absence of comfort and hype. Discipline is the steady hand that takes over when motivation walks away. It is the quiet commitment to show up, do the work, and push forward regardless of how you feel in the moment. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about doing what needs to be done even when it's inconvenient, boring, or difficult. The people who outperform everyone else aren't the ones who are constantly fired up. They're the ones who have trained themselves to act without needing to be. They've built habits that don't rely on inspiration. They understand that feelings are fleeting, but routines create results. So they build a system, stick to it, and let that system carry them through the highs and lows. Their days aren't dictated by mood, but by mission. They've created a structure so strong that it supports their goals even when life becomes chaotic. Discipline becomes their default, not just their backup plan. It starts with simple decisions. Wake up when the alarm rings, not when you feel like it. Follow through on commitments, not just when they're easy. Stick to your priorities even when distractions seem more appealing. These small acts of self-control are what shape your future, because every time you choose discipline over comfort, you reinforce your identity as someone who does hard things, and that identity begins to compound over time, building confidence, resilience, and momentum. You begin to trust yourself because you've proven that you can rely on your own word. Discipline is also what protects your focus. In a world that constantly competes for your attention, the ability to say no to distractions, to temptations, to short-term gratification is a superpower. Discipline helps you prioritize long-term growth over instant pleasure. It helps you stay locked in on what matters, even when the world tries to pull you in 100 different directions. And that level of focus is what allows you to go deeper, to grow faster, and to achieve more than those who are always chasing the next high. There will always be days when you don't feel like doing the work. There will always be moments when it would be easier to quit, to delay, or to make excuses. But those moments are exactly where discipline is built. That's where the gap is created between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. Discipline doesn't eliminate difficulty. It gives you the strength to move through it. It becomes the difference between almost and achievement, between wishing and winning. When you live with discipline, you don't wait for the right conditions, you create them. You don't chase results, you produce them. You don't rely on motivation, you rely on your ability to do what must be done regardless of how you feel. The mind is the command center of your entire life. Every decision you make, every action you take, and every result you achieve begins first in your thoughts. If you do not control your mind, it will be controlled for you by fear, by doubt, by the opinions of others, or by the limitations of your past. The way you think shapes what you believe is possible. And what you believe is possible determines what you are willing to pursue. Mastering the mind is not optional for those who want to outperform everyone else. It is a requirement. Thoughts are more powerful than most people realize. They don't just reflect reality, they create it. If your thoughts are filled with negativity, scarcity, and defeat, those thoughts will filter your experiences and cause you to miss out on opportunities. If your internal dialogue is filled with hesitation, you will take hesitant action. If it's filled with fear, you will avoid risk. But when your thoughts are aligned with strength, certainty, and vision, your actions begin to match. You start making bolder decisions, speaking with more conviction, and approaching challenges with confidence rather than avoidance. Most people never question their thoughts. They accept every fear as truth, every doubt as reality. But thoughts can be chosen, reshaped, and rewired. You can train your mind the same way you train a muscle, through repetition, through focused effort, and through intention. It begins with awareness. You have to notice the stories you're telling yourself every day. Are they stories of strength or stories of limitation? Are they focused on what you can do or what might go wrong? Awareness gives you the power to redirect your focus. Once you become aware of how your thoughts operate, you can begin replacing the ones that no longer serve you. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing a mindset that helps you grow rather than shrink. It's about reminding yourself that you are capable, that you have options, and that you are not defined by your current circumstances. You begin to speak differently to yourself. You replace "I can't" with "I'm learning." You shift from "what if I fail" to "what if I succeed." These subtle shifts in thought patterns begin to alter your behavior in powerful ways. Controlling your mind also means controlling your focus. Whatever you focus on grows. If you constantly focus on what's missing, you will feel lack. If you focus on what's possible, you will feel empowered. High performers train their minds to stay locked in on solutions, not problems. They visualize success, not failure. They expect results, not excuses. This mindset gives them an edge that most people never develop. When your mind is clear, focused, and directed, you become a force. You no longer waste time on fear-based assumptions. You move with intention because you trust your thoughts to guide you, not hold you back. And when your mind is your ally, not your enemy, you start showing up differently in the world. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop chasing and start attracting. You begin to operate from a place of power that very few ever reach because they never took the time to master the one thing that matters most, their own mind. Failure is an unavoidable part of any journey worth taking. It is not a sign that you're unworthy, unqualified, or unlucky. It is a necessary step in the process of becoming someone greater. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck lies in how they interpret failure. Most people see failure as the end, a red light that stops them in their tracks. But for the unstoppable, failure is a green light. It is a signal to learn, to adapt, and to push forward with more insight and resilience than before. When you fail forward, you don't waste time in self-pity. You don't allow mistakes to define you. Instead, you extract lessons from every setback. You analyze what went wrong, not to dwell on it, but to refine your strategy. You use failure as feedback, not as a verdict. This mindset turns every loss into an asset. While others crumble under pressure, you build strength. While others quit, you recalibrate. You begin to understand that progress is not linear, it is jagged, unpredictable, and filled with moments that test your commitment. But these moments are not blocks in the road, they are part of the road. Failing forward requires a deep level of personal responsibility. It means refusing to blame circumstances, people, or timing. It means owning your role in every result, both good and bad. This level of accountability is rare, but it is powerful. It puts you in control. When you take ownership of your failures, you also claim the ability to fix them. You don't wait for things to get better, you make them better. That shift in mindset is what allows you to outperform others who are still looking for someone else to blame. Another important aspect of failing forward is emotional resilience. Failure can hurt. It can bruise your pride, shake your confidence, and make you question everything. But those who keep going understand that pain is not the enemy, it's a teacher. Emotional resilience is built through exposure. The more you face adversity and continue moving, the more capable you become of handling whatever comes next. Each failure thickens your skin, sharpens your thinking, and clarifies your vision. Over time, setbacks that would have once broken you become moments that strengthen you. The ability to fail forward also allows you to take more calculated risks. When you're not afraid of falling, you move faster. You test ideas, stretch your limits, and explore paths others avoid. You begin to see failure as part of your competitive advantage. While others hesitate and play it safe, you act, learn, and grow. That cycle of risk, reflection, and adjustment creates momentum. It compounds over time into mastery. Eventually, the gap between you and everyone else becomes undeniable, not because you never failed, but because you never let failure stop you. Failing forward is about trusting the process. It's about understanding that every detour still leads to the destination if you stay committed. You begin to value growth over comfort, learning over perfection, and persistence over pride. This mindset not only keeps you moving, it makes you unstoppable. The people who achieve the most rarely announce their efforts to the world. They don't talk about how hard they're working, they don't post every step they take, and they don't seek validation for every sacrifice they make. Instead, they outwork everyone in silence. They build their discipline, their strength, and their legacy behind the scenes, while others are busy trying to be seen. This silent grind is what sets them apart. They are focused not on appearances, but on outcomes. They know that the time spent talking could be used for building, refining, and leveling up. In silence, there are fewer distractions. There is less noise and more clarity. When you work without the need for recognition, you become more connected to the purpose behind your effort. You're no longer driven by applause or approval, you're driven by results. This is where true mastery begins. When you're not chasing praise, you're chasing progress. You start to measure your growth by how much better you are today than you were yesterday, not by how many people are watching. You learn to delay gratification and trust that the payoff will come not from being loud, but from being relentless. Working in silence also gives you the space to fail without judgment. It gives you the freedom to experiment, to adjust, and to grow without the pressure of performance. When you remove the spotlight, you create a safer environment for risk. You're not afraid to stumble because you know no one is waiting to celebrate your fall. This freedom allows you to move faster, to iterate more often, and to develop resilience that is forged in private long before it is revealed in public. The quiet work is where the real transformation happens. It's where you earn the skills, the habits, and the identity required to reach the next level. There's also a certain power in being underestimated. When people don't see your effort, they don't anticipate your rise. While they're distracted by those who are louder, you're building quietly and strategically. Then, when your results finally speak for themselves, they don't whisper, they roar. That impact is greater than anything you could have announced. Because it's undeniable. It's not just talk, it's tangible. The difference between you and everyone else becomes clear, not because of what you said, but because of what you've built. Outworking others in silence doesn't mean hiding or being invisible. It means choosing substance over show. It means placing more value on the work than on the credit. It means staying locked in while others drift. It means committing to the process regardless of how long it takes or how unseen it might feel. And with every day that passes, you're stacking quiet wins that no one can take away from you. You're developing endurance, focus, and consistency, traits that cannot be bought or borrowed. These are the qualities that make success sustainable, not just impressive. They're earned in isolation, proven in results, and respected by those who understand what it truly takes to win. Your standards shape your future before your results ever catch up. The expectations you set for yourself, the quality you demand from your actions, and the boundaries you place around your life all determine the level at which you operate. Most people plateau not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they never raise their standards beyond what is comfortable. They live in a cycle of settling for average effort, average associations, and average outcome. But the moment you decide to elevate your standards is the moment you change the entire trajectory of your life. Everything around you is a reflection of what you've been willing to accept. If your habits are sloppy, your results will reflect that. If your circle is full of negativity and low expectations, your mindset will begin to match it. If your daily routine is unstructured and reactive, you will always be behind. But when you raise your standards, everything begins to shift. You start expecting more from yourself, not in a perfectionist way, but in a way that honors your potential. You begin to hold yourself accountable to a higher level of effort, focus, and integrity. You stop tolerating excuses, distractions, and weak commitments. You stop making decisions based on ease and start making them based on excellence. Raising your standards is not about arrogance. It's about alignment. It's about aligning your behavior with your vision. If you want uncommon results, you have to live by uncommon standards. You can't want greatness and live by habits that support mediocrity. You can't seek growth and remain surrounded by people who fear change. You can't aim for mastery and continue to tolerate inconsistency. Your environment, your actions, your thoughts, all of it must rise to the level of your goals. The real work begins when you enforce those standards daily, not just when you feel inspired, but especially when you don't. This means honoring your commitments when it's inconvenient, staying disciplined when no one is watching, and pushing your limits even when no one is clapping. It's easy to have high standards in theory, but living them requires effort, energy, and sacrifice. You will lose people who don't share your vision. You will feel isolated at times. You will question whether the pressure is worth it. But you will also begin to attract a different level of opportunity, connection, and fulfillment. The universe responds to consistency. It pays attention to those who demand more and prove it with action. When your standards are high, you start to move with a different level of clarity. You make faster decisions because you know what aligns and what doesn't. You avoid distractions because your purpose is too valuable to waste. You experience setbacks, but they don't knock you out. They reveal what needs to improve. High standards create momentum. They create identity. They build the foundation that allows you to outperform, not just once, but over and over again. What you expect from yourself becomes the ceiling or the floor of your performance. The higher you raise it, the more everything around you must rise to meet it.